I'm about to expose an e-commerce brand which does $489,469 per month in revenue and take you inside their Google Ads account so you can see exactly how this level of scale truly works. Now, most brands have zero clue on how to even scale when it comes to Google Ads, let alone scale at this level of profitability. But fortunately, we were able to scale this brand to over 489K with a lot of profits in hand. Now, before we go into the actual nitty-gritty details of this scale, let's take a step back and understand the overall trajectory of this brand. So we have been working with this brand for roughly the past 6 months now. And as we can see in the last 90 days, we've been really able to find the perfect approach for this brand. And as a result, scale it to the very next level. I mean, the scale here is very, very visible. In the last year as well, this brand has done roughly $2.7 million in revenue. Usually these summer months are the best months for this brand in general, but compared to last year during the peak season, during the peak time, their best month was roughly $300,000 in revenue, about 304K. Whereas right now, we're not even in the main season yet. We're just getting started. And even with that situation, we're already at about $390,000 in total revenue. Last 30 days is already again 489K. So what makes this level of scale truly possible? Why are we able to scale this brand such big number despite only having a select few Google Ads strategies? Now, just a big disclaimer, not all of this scale comes from Google Ads. They do have other traffic channels in place such as Meta ads, TikTok ads, so on and so forth. But Google Ads contributes to a large portion of this scale. Let's first understand where scale with Google is truly built. And no, it's not built within the Google Ads dashboard. So many brands believe that what buttons you click within the dashboard ultimately determine to what level of scale your brand ends up achieving. And this could not be further away from the truth. The real scale is built from the ground up, the foundation up. In this situation, from the website. Now, this example website right here, which in this situation, I cannot reveal the exact brand due to NDA reasons, but this is a very similar brand, basically a competitor of the brand which we are working with. And the overall layout here, this brand actually copied our brand's overall layout. But essentially, what this brand offers is customized tattoos that you can put on your body. And of course, these are temporary tattoos, but you can buy different types of tattoos based on different occasions, based on different events, so on and so forth. So that's the overall kind of genre and niche of this brand. And because of the playful nature of this niche in general, as you can see, the overall website layout, which by the way is very similar to the brand we work with, is very colorful, it's very fun, and it's quite unique compared to most of the other brands out there, which have plain black and white kind of approaches. But essentially, the main reason why this website is laid out in this manner is because of looking through hundreds of thousands of previous data to understand what the perfect customer in this niche and industry truly wants to see. Now, in terms of Google Ads, we only had about 13.7 million impressions, about $250,000 in ad spend worth of data to go off of, but they have been in business for quite a long time now. They have data from Facebook ads, TikTok ads, etc. And using that data, we were able to come up with a unique design that also works for Google Ads. So with Google, it's always about just having a simplistic approach which your audience wants to see. Now, in this situation, it is a fairly unique approach because as we can see, if we scroll down, their overall description has a lot of colors. There's yellow, there's different kinds of symbols right over here, but it's very simple and it's very to the point. It's nothing too crazy. Even the descriptions, although they are fairly detailed, considering the fact that this is a very, very simple product with a simple price points, they have added all of the proper SEO techniques and whatnot into the descriptions, product titles, etc., which ultimately helps on the Google ad side of things. Now, one major issue we faced with this brand was because it sells customized products like these custom tattoos, there's only a handful of people that are searching for exactly these kinds of products. So for instance, maybe somebody who's just graduating, they're the only types of people that will be searching for these kinds of products in general. Or if they're certain types of birthday, second birthday, 10th birthday, there's only a handful of people that are celebrating a 10th birthday which would need that given tattoo or that given kind of decoration. So because of that, there's a lot of customization, there's a lot of products coming in stock, a lot of products going out of stock, so on and so forth, that we constantly had to deal with when it comes to this brand. But that's essentially how we were able to develop this strategy. That's why this approach right here, which is the same one we have been using since the beginning was a mixture of standard shopping campaigns with Performance Max and just a little bit of search campaigns to go in between. And the reason why we kind of expanded across 3 different campaign types is because we simply wanted to deal with the SKUs going out of stock in a more simplistic manner to ensure that one of the major campaigns, which is spending the most money, does not constantly go into the relearning phase because the SKUs are constantly going out of stock. This is one of the biggest issues brands like this face, where if a SKU is just going out of stock, what happens is it's not able to consistently get that data coming in and make the algorithm smarter, because the SKU one day is here, next day it's completely out of stock. So to battle that, we had multiple different data sources, and we wanted to implement more of the 80-20 rule, which states 80% of our budget should be going towards the top 20% of our campaigns. So essentially these major campaigns at the very top, which are more cold traffic based, and 20% of our budget should be going towards the rest of the campaigns, which is basically the low performing campaigns, maybe for the low search SKUs or low search keywords, in this situation for search campaigns, so on and so forth. But essentially we were segregating out these products based on 2 different categories. One was the non-branded traffic versus the branded traffic. That's essentially what this Performance Max and standard shopping campaign approach was right here, the one spending the most money. And everything else was just based around certain keywords for temporary tattoos along with personalized tattoos. So it was along with certain other types of keywords which were broad match keywords. So it was more of exact match and phrase match versus broad match. So we were keeping things very segregated in this situation, because what we wanted to do is we wanted to create these ads and the overall ad strategy for the customer in mind that was just going to drop off after the first sale or the second sale most likely. And these people wanted something that was more temporary. They didn't want to do too much thinking, and because of that, the price points for a lot of these products were also on the lower end. So that's kind of the strategy overall that we took, and we wanted to make these ad copies and just everything that we did within the Performance Max campaigns, even for example within the asset groups section, more of the want-based approach versus a needs-based approach. Because the reality is you don't really need a custom tattoo, rather you want it. Then that's exactly how we worded our ad copies. That's how we chose the keywords. The landing pages kind of talked about just wanting the product and the emotion factor behind it versus needing it, so on and so forth. So that's essentially how we approach the overall brand when we started the campaign strategy, which by the way is a very, very similar approach we take for majority of the brands we handle under my agency, Your Marketing, which by the way, if you run a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a completely free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen. But essentially that was the main strategy which we implemented with this brand, which slowly evolved into just the scaling phases. Now, scaling for this brand involved 2 different approaches. The first was scaling by improving the back end, the inside section. So going into the inside section right here on the Google Ads dashboard and checking all of the potential new keywords which we were ranking for, and optimizing the back end, the product titles, the Google Merchant Center, product feed, so on and so forth with the appropriate keywords. But in addition, basically scaling by adding more and more campaign types that we were already using. So more search campaign for different types of approaches, different types of landing pages. So what we started doing is we would take one individual landing page and try the trifecta approach on it, which means we would duplicate this landing page and change everything besides the overall images for that landing page. And what we were trying to do here is we were trying to cater the same exact product to a completely different audience type. So this might be, for example, somebody who's celebrating a birthday party and they need the face of that individual across the room, for example. Or second kind of landing page that could be used here would be somebody who's retiring and they need their face across the room in that situation for the party, just as a kind of a decoration piece, so on and so forth. So we were trying to find these different avenues which we could sell the same product in 3 different ways for majority of the brands, and that was also helping contribute a lot to the overall revenue. But essentially with scaling, it was also a lot of vertical scaling along with horizontal scaling, where vertical scaling was just increasing the budgets, horizontal scaling was again adding more search campaigns, standard shopping, Performance Max, basically whatever was needed during that time. And we want to keep things very simple, very to the point, instead of adding too many things to the mix, because this is essentially the strategy that was working and allowing us to scale this brand ran an almost a 4x ROAS within a 30-day period. So we want to keep the momentum going without really disturbing the algorithm, so to speak, and to prevent the algorithm from going into constant relearning phases, because it was already happening because the products were constantly going out of stock. We had to deal with SKU issues, so on and so forth. But a very simple approach from the landing page, customizing it, ensuring all of the colors, all of the words were directed towards the ideal customer. And then from there, moving on to the back end, to the Google Ads strategy, ensuring that we had a very simplistic approach that was more focused on buying intent-based campaigns from standard shopping, performance max, and a little bit of search, and then expanding or eventually with vertical and horizontal scaling, which is the exact approach we take for about 99% of the brands we work with under my agency, Your Marketing, which if you were in a brand doing $50,000 or more per month in revenue, you need some extra help scaling to the next level with Google Ads, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see how we can potentially work together and make that happen.